You've probably heard it a million times, right? That we're living through the Earth's sixth mass extinction. It's a really powerful and honestly pretty scary idea. But what does it actually mean? To figure out if today's biodiversity crisis really stacks up against the planet's absolute worst days, well, we have to look way, way back in time.
Okay, first things first, let's get a crucial piece of context out of the way. Extinction by itself is totally normal. It's a fundamental part of life on Earth. I mean, think about that number. The vast, vast majority of species that have ever lived are gone. So the fact that species are disappearing today, that isn't the real headline.
The real question, the one we're here to unpack, is all about rate and scale. Is what we're seeing today just business as usual for our dynamic planet? Or are we witnessing something truly different, something that could rival the greatest biological catastrophes in Earth's entire history?
So here's our game plan. We'll start by defining the rules of life and death, so to speak. Then we'll look at the last great extinction to set a benchmark. After that, we'll trace the beginnings of the current event, compare it head-to-head with the past, and finally, take a look at what the future might just hold.
First up, let's get our terms straight. Before we can even ask if we're in a mass extinction, we need to be really clear on what actually qualifies as one.
And here's the thing. Scientists set a very, very high bar. The most common definition is the loss of at least 3/4, that's 75% of all species in what's basically a geological blink of an eye, less than 2 million years. We're not just talking about a bad spell, this is a profound, global reset of life itself.
And in the last 500 million years, an event that catastrophic has only happened 5 times. These are the big 5. We're talking about events like the Great Dying, about 252 million years ago, which was the closest life on this planet ever came to being completely wiped out, all the way to the famous one that ended the age of the dinosaurs. These things are exceptionally rare. So, to really understand our current moment, we need a yardstick. And the best one we've got is the most recent of the big 5, the day the dinosaurs' world came to a sudden, violent end.
And let's be clear, this wasn't just ancient history. We are talking about something that happened 66 times million years ago. That's the mind-boggling timescale we need to be thinking on.
The cause was catastrophic and unbelievably sudden. A massive asteroid slammed into the Earth, kicking so much debris into the atmosphere that it plunged the planet into what's called an impact winter. This triggered rapid, extreme cooling and made the oceans acidic, completely wrecking ecosystems from the bottom all the way to the top.
And the result of all that chaos? About 76% of all species on Earth just vanished. That number really shows you what it takes to clear that 75% bar. This, right here, was a true mass extinction. And just as important, it was fast. In geological time, it was basically instantaneous. The trigger was pulled, and boom, the effects were immediate and global. That speed is a really critical point of comparison for us.
Okay, now that we have that benchmark set, let's fast forward from deep time to the present day and talk about what scientists are calling the anthropogenic extinction event. In other words, the one driven by us.
And you might be surprised to hear when this story actually starts. The data suggests we should really begin the clock way back, around 130,000 years ago, right when modern humans started to have a real planetary influence.
This whole event seems to have happened in 2 main waves. The first was the loss of the megafauna, the giant mammals like woolly mammoths and saber-toothed cats, as humans spread out across the globe. The second, more recent wave really picked up speed as humans started colonizing remote islands, wiping out tons of unique species. And then, of course, that's been followed by the global habitat destruction we see today.
And one specific driver in our modern era has been just devastating. Us, moving species all around the planet. These introduced species are linked to 1/4 of all modern plant extinctions and a full 1/3 of all modern animal extinctions.
Okay, so we've got our benchmark, the dinosaurs, and we've defined this human-driven event. So now for the main event, how do they stack up side by side?
When you look at the causes, the difference is just stark. Past mass extinctions were kicked off by these immense, non-biological forces, asteroids, continent-sized volcanic eruptions. Today's drivers, they're uniquely human. It's about how we use the land and sea, how we hunt and harvest, and of course, how we are changing the entire climate. So what about the magnitude? How much have we lost so far? This table compares losses at the genus level. A genus is the taxonomic rank just above species, like how lions and tigers are different species, but they both belong to the genus Panthera. So the global KPG event that killed the dinosaurs wiped out around 40% of all genera. Now look at the bottom row for the current event. So far, we've seen about an 11% loss of mammal genera globally. Now that is a deeply concerning number, way higher than normal, but it really puts things into perspective. We are still a long, long way from that 40% benchmark.
So, if we aren't there yet, does that mean we're headed in that direction? What does the future actually hold for us? Let's just ask the question one more time, directly. Based on all the evidence, are we currently in a sixth mass extinction?
And the scientific consensus is pretty clear. Not yet. The number of species lost so far, as tragic and high as it is, just doesn't meet that 75% threshold. We're not, right now, in a mass extinction event on the same scale as the Big Five.
But, and this is a huge but, we could be on the path to one. For us to actually hit that 75% mark, a few things would have to happen. First, we'd have to lose all the species that are currently listed as threatened. Then, today's incredibly high extinction rates would need to just keep going, unabated, for hundreds or maybe even thousands of years.
And this, right here, is the most critical takeaway of all. The future isn't set in stone. The projections are all over the place for one simple reason. The final outcome depends entirely on us. It depends on our policy choices, our economic paths, and our relationship with the natural world.
So, while we may be causing the greatest extinction event since the dinosaurs disappeared, whether it actually escalates into a true Big Six mass extinction, well, that's not a foregone conclusion we just have to accept. It's a choice, and it's a choice that we are all making right now.